I've been making this mannequin outfit and it's a bit steampunk inspired. So I've made a bustle under here. I don't know if I can show you that because I've actually stitched it down now. The glue wasn't holding. This is bronze thread and I did some micro crochet for a bronze chain. So it's a bit sort of steampunk inspired, a bit of Victoriana. And the fabric really pretty, sort of little it's Georgette, and it's got like cherry blossom on it on a greyish sort of background. This is silk. I had in mind this is going to be like a waistcoat on the front. You know how when you have like a riding outfit, think Downton Abbey, Lady Mary, they'd have silk on the neckline. Okay, so it's all wrapped around, bit of overkill. It's trial and error. I wanted to try this out and see how it worked. So this has been made on the mannequin. It's been cut a bit, glue a bit, cut a bit, glue a bit. I stitched the sleeves and the sleeves are stuck on. I've got this fabulous, this is vintage leather a friend gave to me. And I've got quite a big size, but I didn't know how it would work, sort of stretching it around the mannequin, and it stretches really beautifully because I fitted the back on here and I've done a little sticky out bit over the bustle. So now I need to do the front of the waistcoat. This is going to be stuck somehow, so we've got, the chain is a bit drapey. So I had to research, and bear in mind I'm dyslexic, so this scrambles my brain a little bit. Women's clothing of this era buttoned up right over left, gents was left over right, and this is because the women were obsessed about having help. Well, I don't know if they were obsessed about it or it's just how it developed, and it is much easier to button somebody else's clothing on them if you're doing it right over left, according to a well-known search engine. But anyway, I knew it was one way or the other. Women's clothing of the period is right over left. So I've been making paper templates. I've actually written on here, because this so scrambles my brain, my left, her right, my right, her left, so that when I'm fitting it on, sorry, that's a helicopter or a plane or something going over. I've got all the windows open because it's about 30 something degrees here and I'm in the office with a fan on. So I've been making a paper template, and it's really a bit sort of fit a bit, stick, cut a bit, fit a bit, cut a bit. Now I can't do right over left, her right. I can't fit this one. Where are we? This one. I can't fit this one until this one, the left, her left, is stuck in place. So I've had to fit it around underneath the sleeves. I know there's a bit of silk showing there, hey ho. So this is, I say, this is sort of a bit of templating really. So I will fit on this side. I might not do it on camera. We'll see how much of a lather I get myself into. And I want a little pointy bit at the front, and I'd like, when I cut the leather on this one, but I have to refine this template once I've got her left side in place. I'd like to stitch some buttons, and I'll just use the bronze thread again to just stitch a couple of buttons down there, and then, ooh, can I get you on camera? And then it'll be something like that. That's the plan. It could all still go horribly wrong. I do hope not, but we'll see. So I've got a little bit more fettling to do of the paper pattern, and say I can't, if I rip anything off, I really am going back to bare wood to try and use the mannequin again. I don't wish to do that if I can possibly avoid it, and I've got to miss out where I want a V-neck there, but I don't want it too showing the glue. Anyway, I'll play with that and I'll show you how I get on. Getting there. What a fiddle. I am enjoying it, but it is an incredible fiddle. I'm not going to try and stick this on camera. It's is the vintage leather, huge piece, and it varies in quality depending on which bit you're looking at, but a huge piece, you know, relative huge piece of leather that I've used for this project. So let's show you in detail. Oh, fabulous. So this is a close-up detail of the mannequin that I did, and I just started making it on her as I went along. So I used some muslin for an underskirt, and then I cut various lengths of fabric and I sort of glued it all on. Then I cut a bit more and I glued it on, and I've just gone around the edge with fabric glue. And then I made a little bustle, which is like I made it like a little cushion basically, and I tied it on around her waist. And then I put this bit over the top. Didn't know what I was doing. I've never made a bustle before. And it was all a little bit too sticky outy, flouncy. And I think we're gonna have to go over there with a bit more glue. I've got some loose threads there, so okay, I can snip those off. And the glue wasn't holding it, so I went through with bronze thread, and then I've stuck a little tiny bit of leather there for the back of her waistcoat. Then I stitched with some bronze Gutermann thread this chain. It doesn't look terribly chain-like because I think I could have done something a bit of a bigger needle, and I think I probably only used a 4 or 5 needle because that's what I've got handy at the moment with all my micro crochet. Then I made the sleeves. So I just remembered basically the shape of a sleeve pattern to get this sort of, I've made garments with this sort of sleeve so many times. Yes, they are on a little bit squiffy. I'm mindful of that. You don't need to point it out to me, I do know. But there we are. It's a work in progress, isn't it, when you're dressmaking? And there's a little bit of wadding up in there to just give it some shape. And then the whole sleeve is glued on. Oh, I did this, the silk bodice part first, and then I glued the sleeve on. And then I cut, and I can't find the template now, it's probably in the cabin somewhere, cut the template for the back of the waistcoat, stuck that on, and then I cut the templates for the front and the left. No, that way round. So I wrote on my left, my right, her right, because I needed to make sure I got it going over in the right way. And in my other video, I've shown you where I've had to, you know, do a bit, snip a bit, and I didn't know how much the leather was going to stretch. So I had to make those up as I went along. And then I wanted to put on the pink collar. So that again is pink leather. It's given me a gazillion ideas for future things. Oh yes, this is just knotted bronze thread, so that's double knots. It's not stitched through. So here I cut the dart for the bust there. I forgot to do that for the first side I put on, so I had to cut a bit that's over the where the two sides join. So I can see where I can improve, but it's given me, I say, a gazillion ideas for the future. And last night when I was lying in bed sweltering and thinking I really should be going to sleep but I'm far too hot, my brain was going crazy with designs and stuff. But I didn't want to get up because I thought if I get up I'm going to have bugs coming in through the windows if I have any lights on or anything like that, so I couldn't sit down and write anything out. But anyway, you may well see future mannequins appearing in different fabrics, but I wanted something a bit steampunky, and also I want to make her a hat, and I'm going to make some gloves out of the leather as well, and when I do those I will show you those. I have found all the templates for the waistcoat that I made out of leather, and I've also found an old airmail writing pad, and I realised that airmail paper is perfect for making paper patterns with. So you'll see these hanging at some point in the sewing room, these little neat paper patterns, but also I've got templates for the future. Now, because I keep things like this for reference, it's really handy. So when I went to Miniatura in March this year, goodness, that long ago, I can remember exactly on the plan where the place was where I got the leather. So I've been able to look in here. So if you attend any fairs, keep your directory, whatever. And they are blue ribboned fabrics, RIBAND, blueribbonfabrics.com. They do have a shop online, but they don't seem to stock the leather in the shop, but there we are. I'm sure if you inquire, they may well be able to help you. So I got 2 packs of leather, and I can't remember how it all came together, but there was, okay, maybe because the red, I seem to remember there was some quirkiness, so I wanted some purple. I can't remember if this is how the packs came, but purple, pink and brown. It's a good size piece of real leather, and obviously being a natural product, it's not all perfect. This is superb, like glove leather. It's really, really fine. You're not going to be making a full-size coat out of this, but see there's a little piece of navy there. That's a slightly bigger piece, and the red was quite small, but I wanted the red. I knew I wanted red. I've got lots of plans for red. So when I come across them again, I will certainly be buying leather from them again, because I'm delighted. It's exactly what I wanted. And I say, while I was there, I got 2 packs because I couldn't decide basically between the 2 packs. So I just thought, well, just get them both. So I keep those in a container. So another thing I made was this book. So you know when you get medications, whatever sort, it always gives you a huge piece of paper with 15 different languages on, with all the contraindications and how to take it and blah, blah, blah. And they're often folded up into some funny ways. Well, this one, Paul found it in our recycling, and it was like, oh, that could make a book. And I looked at it and I thought, yes, it could. So what I did was I went through with a scalpel and sliced most of, I didn't open it all out, I was holding it closed as it is here. I cut it with scissors, that's it, I cut the edge with scissors, not terribly cleanly, I hasten to add. And then I cut through the folded edges with a sharp scalpel. And yesterday, bearing in mind I was in my own shadow and I didn't have the best light with me, I cut some red leather and glued that on. So we have a leather bound book. I'm probably going to put some gold pen, just some details on the spine, and that's going to be in Paul's room. So that is sumptuous red leather, and I'm going to be making more of those, definitely. What I want to do to begin with is use the leather for everything else that I want to do, and then see what I've got left. What I'm definitely not doing is I'm not throwing away any pieces, so that is so much softer than that. You can't really notice a huge difference, but this is a really, really thin leather. This is hugely thin, but it's a little bit thicker. I have some pink leather gloves myself, so I will probably be making pink gloves to go with the miniature outfits. And then I have kept every tiny, teeny weeny little leather trimming, because again, you don't know what they're going to come up useful for. And quite possibly in the sewing room, there's going to be a basket of leather scraps, because it's the sort of thing people would always want to buy, is a little leather scrap for a little bit of a trimming or a little bit of detail on something somewhere. So I will be putting these away safe somewhere and keeping all of those. What I'm also going to do is I'm going to keep these templates as something to work from. I can't find the template for the back, but it will possibly appear when I go back in the cabin. It's currently 31.8 here today. Yesterday it was 34.6. We don't have this weather in Shropshire. It's just like unbelievable. Back to the patterns. I only used ordinary scrap paper to cut my patterns, modelling it on the mannequin. So it's quite easy to do. You just have to be patient. Not my strongest point, but I needed to find things that I could do quietly and not having to bring in endless bits and pieces from the cabin. I say I'm at my kitchen table today, so the light isn't great in here. I've got my daylight bulb on in here. Yesterday I was up in the office and I was in my own shadow a lot of the time. So what else we got? I have also been doing some micro crochet, and I'm making some cushions. The two halves I made yesterday are slightly different tension, so one half is a bit bigger than the other. So I'm doing a third and we'll see how it comes out. I will do a fourth as well, and then I've got two cushions. These will be in my Etsy shop later. So this is Gutermann sewing thread, and it's a variegated thread, and it's colour number 4031, and I'm using a 4mm needle, or number 24 steel, number 24, I think it's in American sizes. So I can do a bit of this without my hands getting too sticky, and just see where we end up with the sizing. Then what I will do, got that wrong. See, as soon as I put the camera on crochet, it all goes a bit winky wonky. For goodness sake, now I can't find the old. What was I going to say? What was I going to say? Yes, so I will make an inner for this just out of some folded up muslin with some filler in, you know, the sort of filler you buy from the craft shop to fill your stuffed toys. It won't be random leftover. We used to fill cushions and all sorts of, make draft excluders and fill them with old tights years ago. It won't be anything like that. It'll be the proper job. Nice and hygienic. Oh, look. It's because I've turned the fan off because of the noise on camera, and I'm getting a bit hot now, so I might have to go off camera and do this. So my micro crochet, if I'm doing a granny square, I'm going to move away from granny squares soon because I've already got bored with these, and do some other details. I don't put any spaces between the 3 triples. I just do 2 spaces, 2 chains in the corner. Blimey, I'm going to have to stop, put the fan on. Oh, my. Exactly how I had in mind. Bit rustic, bit worn, not the perfect paint job, but that's how it's supposed to be. And all the drawers are lined. Even got the missing drawer handle.